Well, it's time now for the World Brief and a review of some headlines from today's newspapers from all over the world. But first, let me tell you what's happening around the world. Now, the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, has kicked off his 5-day tour across Africa with his first stop in what he called Africa's powerhouse, Lagos. Now, his trip seeks to highlight opportunities for trade and cultural exchange, which is why he has brought a delegation of 27 London-based unicorn firms hoping to solidify relations with businesses here in Nigeria. Now, on Tuesday, the mayor joined hundreds of leaders from Nigeria's tech sector, including Eyinoluwa Aboyeji, who is the co-founder of Andela and the former managing director of Flutterwave, both Nigerian unicorns, in a discussion on how Nigerian businesses can be supported to invest in the capital on offer. Now, in terms of the creative industry, Sadiq says that he wants a piece of the $100 billion Nigerian dollars that the Nigerian government wants to generate by 2030. Now, he outlines the opportunities on offer during our interview. Let's take a look at it now. I think you've heard it already, but Cabo, welcome to Lagos.
Thank you very much.
Now, I heard you refer to Yaba as perhaps Yabacon. So I guess that leads us into the conversation of what's brought you to Nigeria here. It does seem as though there's lots of ideas you have looking at the potential that we're finding here in Nigeria. Tell us about what's brought you here this time.
I'm really proud and I'm frankly astonished that I'm the first ever mayor of London to lead a trade delegation to Africa. And, we're in Lagos, of course. We'll be going to Accra, Johannesburg, and Cape Town. And I've brought with me some really talented London companies in the sustainable world, in the fintech world, and others. And we come not as patrons, not in a patronising way. I recognise the history of the UK, and Nigeria has not been an equal one in the past. The new government's resetting relations. We've come as partners. But I also recognise that Lagos is the fastest growing tech cluster in the world.
Absolutely.
The amount of ambition, the amount of energy, the amount of great ideas in Lagos is astonishing. This is the financial capital of West of Africa. When I asked the question, who is the tech capital of Africa? It's Lagos. Tech capital of Europe is London. So it's an obvious synergy.
Definitely.
But also I recognise that if we're going to do even better, we need to have more trade relations, but also cultural relations is very important. Sports, fashion, and that's the joy of Lagos and the joy of London.
Yeah, so I'm so glad you mentioned all of these different industries. You talked about the creative side of things, and our location is definitely intentional behind that. The John Randall Museum is just wonderful, so I'm happy that you've been able to see that. And then you also mentioned sports, and talking about the links between Nigeria and London, or Lagos and London, definitely Nigeria and London. You've got the likes of Bukayo Saka, who is a Londoner and a Nigerian, and Anthony Joshua too. So there are already really great ties there. But let's talk about startups. As you've already hinted, Nigeria, Lagos too, it's been able to really craft a lot of the talent here. And we saw that you had Eyinoluwa Aboyeji on stage with you, and he is obviously at the helm of two very, very special companies. And when we're looking at that type of unicorn status, we're hoping that there's something that can continue to prosper across Nigeria. Is that something that's also inspired your journey coming here?
Can I just say, anybody watching this or listening to this should be so hopeful about the future of Lagos. I can say that based on the evidence of London. So about 10 years ago, we had a part of London called Old Street. There's a roundabout there. And that was known colloquially as Silicon Roundabout because the ambition was to have tech flourishing and thriving in London. Tech was very, very early stages. And we now have more than 120 unicorns in London, on the way to 200 very, very quickly. Fintech, edtech, clean tech, edtech, legal tech, fashion tech, and I could go on. But I see in Lagos, in Yaba, this real energy, and I was calling it, Yabacon Valley, right? Because I can see the agglomeration of different sectors. But he's a good example of what you can become with a combination of hard work, access to capital, good ideas, good team around you, and so forth. Not one, but two unicorns. And I make this point, look, what do startups need? Well, actually go before. If you're thinking about setting up a company, what do you need? You need access to capital, premises, talent, How do you employ people?
Absolutely.
And so we've set up in London something called, Grow London. It's a one-stop shop if you're a startup in London, how to set up, start up, scale up, accelerate, and so forth. We've also got a Grow London Global. So if you're thinking of coming to London, we provide a concierge service how to come to London. Because I can see the benefits to London and Lagos by us working closer together. An amazing stat I discovered before I came. I looked at the New York Stock Exchange. Everyone talks about New York and America. The New York Stock Exchange has 7 African companies listed in New York. We have 120 in London, all right? So there's a reason for that. Our diaspora helps, not just great boxers and great footballers, great authors, Bernardine Evaristo, great people in fashion, but great tech people, great business people, great entrepreneurs. Often, though, the challenge they have as Londoners is the same challenge businesses have here. How do I get capital?
Correct.
And you know as well as I do, if you're a female founder, if you're a minority, it's often difficult to access capital on good terms. So we're going to help you do that. And that's why this trip is so exciting. We've been here one day. Already some of our team have made deals with others in Lagos. That's really exciting. That's in one day. And so I'm hoping over the next few days, weeks, months and years, you'll see the fruits of more of those partnerships.
Absolutely. And that's exactly where I was going next. It's so funny that your visit comes out of Nigeria at a time where there's been a surge in reporting really at the failure of Nigerian startups, almost as though there's been a popping of a balloon, but it doesn't seem to dampen your appetite
Look,
at all.
can I say this? We've got to understand that failure is part and parcel of being successful. We can't stigmatize failure. Look at all the best businesses around the world that we've heard of, from Richard Branson's Virgin, Steve Jobs' Apple. There are many examples I can give you. Failure is part and parcel of life. Don't take reckless risks, though. Nobody's, I'm not saying, as long as it's calculated and so forth, you brush yourselves down, you learn the mistakes you made, and you go on. And if we stigmatize failure, if we discourage people starting up because, oh my God, we've gone through a period of a bit of, problems, that's not the way for an economy to be vibrant and flourish. You've got to ask yourself the questions: why did they fail? Were the rates of capital not great? Weren't they negotiated very well? Did we go too fast? And learn from that. And one of the things we do in London is provide that mentoring and that support. I know that unicorns here are doing it as well. An amazing piece of information I was told this morning. Across Africa, depending on who you believe, between 7 and 20 unicorns, most are based in Lagos.
Right.
There's a reason for that. And we want to work with our friends in Lagos so we can both benefit.
And before we let you go, because I know you have a very, very busy schedule, I'm so happy you touched on the Nigerian diaspora in the United Kingdom. It almost feels as though certain parts of South London, East London, you feel like you're in Lagos already.
Oh, so the rivalries, friendly rivalry.
There is that.
Yeah, I'm from South London, so Little Lagos is in South London in Peckham, yeah?
That's what they say. That's what they
She's
say.
a North
That's what
Londoner.
they say. That's me. That's me. And it's so funny because that's exactly it. You got the South and East London Nigerians, and you got the Northwest London Nigerians.
I mean, look, we have in London, as I said, the most diverse city in the world. We have, in a conservative estimate, 150,000 Londoners of Nigerian origin. They're really proud of being a Londoner, as you should be, of Nigerian origin.
Correct.
Of whatever your culture is or your ancestry, and that's really important. I think you can have multiple identities. There should be no hierarchy when it comes to your pride. And that's why I'm really pleased to be here at the John Randall Centre. We know, the Yoruba culture, indigenous culture sometimes aren't, seen in a positive light. But I also recognise that, minorities in London help London be the great city we are. We are the greatest city in the world because of the contribution made by all our diverse communities. You'll love this, though. When I was at Flygeria's last week, I was asked a question.
I saw the pictures.
I was asked the question, and I've got lots of Ghanaian friends and Nigerian friends, but also lots of Londoners who are originally from Nigeria or Ghana. Who makes the best jollof rice?
Okay, tell me.
It's not in Lagos.
Is it not?
Or in Accra. It's in London.
And I think that's a perfect place for us to end. What a wonderful place for us to end this conversation.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. All right, so that was a lovely conversation there. I can't believe. Thank you very much. He said he's tasted jollof rice all over from Nigeria, Ghana, and he believes that the best jollof rice is actually in London. So I don't know what to tell you people.
If I say what I want to say, but it's okay.
That's a political.
But it was, yes, definitely. But it was very interesting to see.
But there's some good Nigerian jollof rice in London.
They're very good Nigerian jollof rice in London.
There's this place I tried out in January,
Enish is very popular,
Jesus Christ.
They're becoming a global brand. They're all over
Jesus
London
Christ.
and Dubai.
Enish? Oh my God.
Be careful, oh. Be careful.
Oh, yeah.
But essentially, it does look as though he is looking at Nigeria, Lagos specifically, but again, the environs as well, to look at how Nigerian businesses can harness what's on offer. But as we were talking before, it is another example of Nigeria's hospitality to see the warm welcome that he's received. I know that there was some form of a creative event last night in Lagos with Mo Abudu, just to show that every corner of Nigerian society has welcomed him. And we hope that when our leaders go abroad, that they also face that same level of respect and attention when it comes to what they're coming to do there. So good news for Nigerian businesses. Let's get your comments before we move on to the newspapers very, very quickly.
I mean, great. Anything Femi touches turns to gold.
Yes.
I mean, never in doubt. But for me, one part I took out of that interview was the rich cultural symbolism.
Yeah.
And the fact that, London is reaching out, to be able to play an integral role in tech, in national development, the low-hanging fruits, but the things that really move the economy. And like he's saying I'm also thinking of the possibility of us also, having partnerships that can in turn now help our own people in this ecosystem, because we need a lot in this ecosystem. And part of the problem is it's not only about capital, it's also about training. I mean, I can talk from experience because I've also worked in the tech ecosystem many times. I've been a co-founder of tech companies in this country. And what I see most of the time is the buzz here is, let's raise money. Oh, who raised the next $2 million? I raised $3 million. I mean, when you see some founders talk and say, I just raised $4 million on my Series A or my pre-seed and all that. The question is, you can raise that money and you burn it so quickly. In tech, then there's something we call the Toyota Camry effect, where once you raise the money, you buy a Toyota Camry, you start to party every night, you don't meet customers' obligation, and the money goes just like that. And also, the blitz scaling that happens with the VCs sometimes want you to blitz scale quickly so that they can get returns, so that they can quickly exit the company. And it brings a big problem. So we also need a partnership around training entrepreneurs that, see, money is good, but money is not your biggest problem. I mean, I can tell you that from experience. It's also about how to be able to organically grow a business as against raising the big bucks and blitz scaling, and you don't have a sustainable plan to be able to, go on with the business. Maybe, I think I have the bona fide to hold a tech conference. I've been a founder that lost money.
Look forward to it.
So, I mean, but I cut that from the conversation. Yeah.
Thank you.
So I think what struck me is the fact that in the news recently, I think it was throughout June, and as the conversation continues, is the fact that there's actually quite a mass exodus of companies leaving the UK, many of them going to the US, especially tech companies delisting from the London Stock Exchange, preferring to move over to the US, where they feel that they can scale quicker, grow more, and there's more opportunity available to them. So I think I like the fact that this is proactive. He's realized that there is a fantastic and a growing tech hub in Nigeria, specifically in Lagos. Everybody always speaks about Yaba. Now, what's important, I think, to note here is the fact that, we had a moment a few years ago when there was a massive growth spurt in the tech sector here locally, and things have tempered down just a little bit since then. Although a lot is still happening, I think a lot of the entrepreneurs are also choosing to keep a little bit quiet and stay under the radar now. But interesting opportunities if we can see those London Stock Exchange listings, being populated by Nigerian tech firms. And I think that's a very positive development. So I hope we can see that type of synergy and let this be a genuine engagement, not a talk shop, not a PR stunt. Let's see the follow-up deals to this outing.
Well, thank you both. Let's move on now to newspaper headlines across the globe, and we begin in Nigeria, where there's another series of collector's editions of Nigerian papers following the burial of former President Muhammadu Buhari. Now, this day leads with Buhari buried in a blaze of glory with full military honours as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu goes above and beyond to honour his predecessor, creating a new presidential precedent. Now, to the top of the paper, we also see, as we've just discussed, Mayor of London Sadiq Khan in Lagos on the first official trip to Africa taken by any mayor of London. Now, he's seeking to boost tech, creative and wider business ties throughout Nigeria. He continues his tour to Ghana today and then to South Africa on Friday. Rest at last is the leadership's headline, while also reporting an excerpt from Noor Buhari, one of President Buhari's daughters. Noor, she is, of course, the daughter of the dearly departed, and she penned an open letter to her father where she says that she is heartbroken and says that she is sad that she won't be able to share the moments and experiences that she had planned for the both of them. The Punch reignites conversations around tradition and choice. Now, the Oluwa of Iwo, Oba Abdul Rashid Akombi, has described the burial process of the late Awujale of Ijebuland, Obasiku Kayode Adetona, as a freedom for the Yoruba traditional institution and a step towards restoring its sanctity. Oba Adetona was buried according to Islamic rites on Monday after his death on Sunday at the age of 91. Now, soldiers during the burial did prevent traditionalists from hijacking his burial. That's as Governor Dakwa Abiodun said that the traditional ruler had indicated that he wanted to be buried according to Islamic rites and not traditional ones. Now, the next Awujale will emerge after 3 months of mourning. The Guardian reports that the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, has filed an appeal seeking to overturn a federal high court judgment which directed the Senate to lift the suspension imposed on Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, who represents Kogi Central. Now, the notice of appeal dated the 14th of July was filed at the Abuja division of the Court of Appeal. The Guardian also reports that the social media platform TikTok has restricted some 211 million offensive videos, and from Nigerian accounts specifically, 3.6 million videos were removed. To the New Telegraph, it reports that President Bola Tinubu has ordered relevant federal agencies to swiftly tackle issues raised by the United States and the United Arab Emirates over recent changes to their visa issuance policies affecting Nigerian citizens. Now, on the 8th of July, we know the US recently implemented a new visa policy for Nigerians, limiting the validity of most non-immigrant, non-diplomatic visas, such as tourist, business, and student visas, to just 3 months. Now, a statement by Bayo Ononuga, who's a special advisor on information and strategy to the president, said that the government is working to ensure that the concerns raised are addressed through appropriate and constructive channels. That's also picked up on today's edition of the Daily Sun. The Daily Independent leads with the potential to inject 7.2 trillion naira into Nigeria's economy. This National Cashew Association of Nigeria is driving a nationwide cashew nursery initiative to distribute 1 million high-yield seedlings to farmers. The move, according to players in the cashew industry, is aimed at significantly scaling up production and being able to reclaim Nigeria's global leadership in cashew output. Now, moving on to global papers, in the United Kingdom, the Metro, the Daily Mail and the Daily Telegraph, indeed a whole host of UK papers, have the information that the UK government secretly relocated thousands of Afghans after a data leak put their lives at risk from the Taliban. Now, that story dominates Wednesday's papers. The Daily Telegraph also leads with its take on the £7 billion Afghan migrant cover-up, saying that the United Kingdom secretly offered asylum to 24,000 Afghans after a 2022 data breach exposed the names and personal details of 19,000 people. The paper says that the scheme was kept secret for almost 2 years due to a super injunction requested by the government. That's now been listed, and that's why we know about it.
I just yield the floor because of 30 seconds, so we can give her some of the time. Remember, you want to say something?
I don't have much to say, really. I think on the issue of the visa ban, which was one of our headlines at the top of the show as well, is just, I guess, important that we've gotten clarity around the issues which are overstaying and being able to track records of people who, who do overstay, tracking them back here in Nigeria, which we know that is one of those, perennial issues that we faced here. We've come a long way, though. I think it's important to acknowledge that. But I just hope we'll be able to deepen data identity and data identity management in Nigeria in the short term.
Indeed. Well, thank you.
Thank you.